What a scene. What a vibe. Yes. Thousands packing out Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney and an incredible reception for Indian PM Narendra Modi. For more, we're joined by Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong in Sydney. Namaste, Penny.
Namaste. Good morning. Good to be with you all. And you used the right word. It was energetic and vibrant.
What a reception.
Wonderful celebration last night.
Yeah, it was an incredible reception.
It was an incredible reception and a reminder of the vibrancy of our Indian diaspora. It's our second largest diaspora, and it's, as the Prime Minister Modi described, it's the beating heart of our relationship, the bridge between Australia and India. And that was really demonstrated in colour and movement last night.
Brilliant. What business are we going to drive today? Will you play ball with the Indian PM's wishes on Medicare recognising alternative medicines?
Well, look, I'm not going to preempt the meeting, but I would say this. This is a really important relationship for Australia. Yeah. It's a relationship that's got a lot of momentum. We've got Prime Minister Modi here, which is really fantastic. Obviously, Prime Minister Albanese went to India in March, and they've just come back from the G7 and Quad meetings in Japan together. So I think Prime Minister Albanese said he'd met Prime Minister Modi 6 times since he was elected just over a year ago. So that demonstrates the importance of the relationship. We will look at all of the issues that are on the table. I've tried a bit of Ayurveda myself. Found it very helpful.
Oh, do tell. Not so much this morning.
No, probably not.
I'll call you later.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not on live TV.
It's good. I got you, Penny. Look, China's not happy with all this, of course. The G7 meeting are calling it an anti-China workshop. Your response?
The G7 is an important forum internationally, a forum that goes to stability and peace, which is what all peoples of the world want, and we were pleased to be part of the group that was invited to the G7, and then of course to participate in the Quad meeting. So look, I think this is a time where there's a fair bit of competition in the world, dialogue and engagement, and agreeing to work together to support rules, free open trade, openness, stability, prosperity. This is a good thing.
There are some sticking points, though, amongst the Modi Love Fest. There are some challenges, even with India. It's gone soft on Russia.
There's an historic relationship between India and Russia, which we're all aware of. But I would note that Prime Minister Modi met with President Zelensky, and after that meeting, which was just last week, President Zelensky welcomed India's support for Ukraine's sovereignty, which is the position Australia takes. We continue to stand with Ukraine, as do so many countries around the world.
It wouldn't have anything to do with coal, would it? I mean, why don't they take more of our coal than Russia's?
There's an historic relationship which you're aware of, but I think what's important is the fact of and the meaning of Prime Minister Modi meeting with President Zelensky of the Ukraine. I think that sends a very important message, just as the continued support of Australia, other countries around the world and the whole of the G7 for Ukraine and its sovereignty against this illegal and immoral war that Russia is waging.
Look, at the end of the day, the point is India will look after itself on the world stage. Would you expect India to lend a hand if, say, we got in a stink with China?
One of the reasons that this partnership is so important is that we are partners for peace and stability in the region. And we share those interests. I think countries look to their own national interests. Australia does, India does, and China does, as do all countries of the region and the world. But what's important here is we've got the world's largest democracy, the world's most populous nation, India, saying we want to partner with you and others to ensure an open and resilient Indo-Pacific. That is, Indo-Pacific, a region which is peaceful and stable. We share those interests, and India is such an important strategic partner for Australia, and we welcome Prime Minister Modi and his delegation to Australia.
All right, Friday night we're going to have a date. We're going to sample some Indian alternative medicines and watch some Bollywood films together.
Okay. Can't wait.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Appreciate it.
Prime Minister? Well, you've just elevated them.
Elevating her, yeah. You never know what's going to happen. I've just sampled already. Thanks, Penny. Good. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Must be that alternative medicine, Karl. Anyway. Well, Sydney's West was abuzz with celebration last night. A sold-out crowd of 20,000 gathering at Kudos Bank Arena. And it wasn't for a concert, was it, Karl?
It was vibe on. Instead, it was for the Indian Prime Minister addressing the Indian-Australian community ahead of bilateral talks with our leaders today. The PM was all amongst it and all over it and joins us now from Sydney. PM, good morning to you. What a rock star is he, your new boss?
Well, it was pretty extraordinary welcome last night. The boss, Bruce Springsteen, of course, I've seen him play there. And the difference is, I guess, that people were there chanting for Narendra Modi 12 hours in advance of the gig last night. It was a very warm welcome. The energy in the room was quite extraordinary. And it was a great thing for Australia to welcome Narendra Modi to Australia. India and Australia have a close relationship. We're both Indian Ocean countries. And of course, India is going to grow to be the third largest economy in the world. It's already the most populous country. And we've seen over the recent decade in particular, a lifting of so many hundreds of millions of people getting access to energy for the first time, seeing them benefit from the enormous economic growth. It is an economic miracle what has happened in India over recent times, and that's a very good thing.
And this is the thing, we do have those strong ties that already exist with India, but Mr Modi says he wants to take our relationship to the next level. What exactly does that mean?
He does well. Later this year, we'll conclude an upgrade of our economic partnership. Today, we'll be talking about the way that we can cooperate in green hydrogen. Last night, I advanced. We're setting up an Australia-India Institute, basically, to improve those relationships, those people-to-people links in Parramatta. When I was in India in March, we announced the opening of the first ever overseas university, Deakin University, being established in Gujarat. Wollongong University will be established there soon after. There's enormous opportunities. We know so many, hundreds of thousands of Indian students have been able to access education here in Australia. That's good for them, but it's also good for Australia as well because it brings economic activity here. And the Indian diaspora here is growing over coming years to around about 1 million people. And that is such an important thing. Later this year, there'll be Operation Malabar. Our security relationship and defence ties will happen right here in Sydney later this year.
There are a couple of sticking points, PM. Obviously, India is snapping up more and more coal from Russia, and they've gone a little soft on Russia, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, look, India's been a part, though, of calling for, as we did just on the weekend at the G7 extended meeting that took place in Japan and the Quad leaders meeting. We continue to call for peace and security in the region and throughout the world is important. So India, of course, has a right to determine its own foreign policy, but the relationship between our two nations has never been stronger. It is the world's largest democracy, and through bodies like the Quad, we're increasing that cooperation across defence, economy, society, culture. It is such an important relationship for Australia going forward.
China isn't happy with G7 nations claiming they've collaborated to smear and attack Beijing. I mean, realistically, could we rely on India if there is a dust-up?
Well, India and China, of course, have a fraught relationship. There have been skirmishes on the border and issues between them. We make no apologies for gathering at the G7. It was a gathering of the world's largest democracies, and it was a very positive meeting. We want, though, peace, security and stability in the region, including with China. It's one of the things that my government have been working on, is just improving our relations with the world. We live in a globalised world. We are an island continent, but we're not an island that can remain unaffected by world events, just as the Russian invasion of Ukraine, that illegal act, an attack on a nation's sovereignty, has had a massive impact on global inflation, on global energy prices. We're not immune, which is why we need to be engaged in the world, why we need to promote secure relations, and why we need to build friendships with nations like India.
It's a good thing. Look, I must apologise to you, PM. In the last hour, whilst discussing Indian alternative medicines with Penny Wong, I did promote her just a little.
So we should let you know.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Appreciate it.
Prime Minister? Well, you've just elevated them.
Elevating her, yeah. You never know what's going to happen. I've just sampled already.
Penny Wong is a rock star, and I'm happy for her to be promoted at any time.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, I was going to ask her about Bollywood films. What's your favourite? Did you get that?
This is to clinch the job,
No,
PM.
I didn't.
What's your
Sorry.
favourite Bollywood film?
Oh, look, Brett Lee, I was talking to him last week. I was hoping that he'd be here for the Prime Minister Modi visit. He's over in India. He talks himself up
Yes,
big time
doesn't he?
in Bollywood. He's not only a great cricketer, but he tells me that Un-Indian is the best Bollywood movie that's ever been made. It happens to be the one that he debuted on.
We've just got a little, PM, we've just got a little sample of it here. Let's just show Australia.
Can you tell a girl you don't know that you're the one for me? Do you walk right up or play it cool?
Maybe PM Brett Lee can recruit you for the next film clip he shoots. What
It's
do you reckon?
shocking.
I don't think anyone wants to see me in a
No, that's probably
Bollywood
a good
movie,
point.
guys.
Hey, thanks, PM. Well done on the Indian Prime Minister's visit. It's a terrific thing, I reckon, for
Yeah.
this country. Good on you. Thank you so much for your
Looking
time.
forward to today very much. It'll be a really important meeting, and we'll have some really positive things to come out of it, building on that relationship in areas like green hydrogen. It's such an opportunity for Australia.
Just wish we could have turned the weather on, huh?
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and
What's my name again?
oh my goodness, Karl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Karl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?